We are officially recording. So hello, everybody. Welcome to our very first Artsy Thursday for Week of the Young Child. My name is Michelle, and I am the outreach coordinator for First Things First here in Pinal. And running today's session is the most amazing Miss Casey from Child and Family Resources. So Miss Casey, take it away.
Good morning, everybody. It's so wonderful to be here and to have you here. So today we're going to be doing 4 projects, and I'm going to be sharing 4 books that have to do with rainbows. So the first book that I want to share with you is called A Rainbow of My Own. Whoops, Miss Casey needs glasses to be able to read. So it says, today I saw a rainbow. It was so beautiful that I wanted to catch it for my very own. I put on my raincoat and hat and ran outdoors. Fast as the wind I ran. Look at him running after that rainbow. Oops. But when I came to where the rainbow should have been, it wasn't there. Can you see he's running for it? And then all of a sudden it's not there? I thought maybe some rainy day, a rainbow will come and stay a while. I'll be walking along slowly and suddenly I hear a soft whirring sound like the wings of a bird. I'll look around and see. A rainbow following me. Look at that rainbow following him. I'll know by the way it circles and whirls. It wants to play. So I'll hop over my rainbow, and my rainbow will leap over me. I'll climb up one side and slide down the other. My rainbow will make a peacock fan for me to walk in front of. Can you see him walking in front of his rainbow? Whoops, Miss Casey is not doing this well. There you go. And a hammock for me to swing in. We'll play a game of hide and go seek. I'll shut my eyes and count to 20, and then I will look all around. If I were a rainbow, where would I hide? In a flower garden, of course. Rows of flowers look like a rainbow. Suddenly, the sun came out again from behind the rain clouds, and my pretend rainbow disappeared the way real rainbows do. But when I came back home, I saw something glowing inside the window of my room. And when I ran inside, there was a rainbow dancing on the wall. The sun was shining through the water in my goldfish bowl, and it made a rainbow just for me. A rainbow of my very own. So in this book by Don Freeman, he wanted a rainbow of his own. So today we're going to make a rainbow. So you should have a bag of supplies. And what you're going to need for this project is a paper plate, all of your 6 colored pieces of paper, and your cotton balls and your glue stick. You will also need, which you don't have in the bag, a pair of scissors. So if you need to go get a pair of scissors, go get a pair of scissors. So the first thing that you're going to do is you are going to fold that paper plate in half. And then you're going to cut it in half.
So when you're done, you're going to have just a half a paper plate. And this is going to be a cloud for us. The next thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take your pieces of paper, and each one of them, you're going to cut a strip off of it, just like this. So from each of those 6 pieces of colored paper you have, you're going to want to make yourself a strip like this. And you can cut them one at a time, or you can stack them up, and you can cut more than one at a time. So I stacked up 2 this time. So now I have 2 more strips. And this time I'm going to do 3 because that's how many I have left. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different color pieces of paper cut in strips. And those are going to make up my rainbow. So now, once you have your strips, you're going to take your paper plate, and you should have gotten a glue stick too. And what I'm going to do is I am going to take my red piece of paper, or maybe no, I think I'll take my purple piece of paper, and I'm going to put some glue just right here at the top of my purple piece of paper. And I'm going to glue it to the back of my paper plate, just like that, so that it's hanging down on the back. Then the next one, I'm going to actually put the glue on my paper plate, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right here on my paper plate down there by the purple one. And I'm going to stick my, what color is this? Blue one. So now I have 2 of them glued. And then next, I'm going to glue another one. And I'm going to glue my green one. So now I have 3 of them glued on. Next is going to be my yellow one. So I put some glue, and I'm going to glue my yellow one, just like that. So now I have my purple one. Whoops, it's crooked. My blue one, my green one, and my yellow one. And after my yellow one, I'm going to glue. What color is this one? This one is orange. So I glued my orange one. And then I'm going to glue my last one. I'm going to glue my red one. So now I have all of them glued. I have purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. So they're all glued on, and then I'm going to turn it over like this. And this is where my cotton balls come in. And you should have 10 cotton balls. So the first thing that you want to do with your cotton balls is you want to pull on them just a little bit to help make them a little more fluffy. See how I'm pulling just a little bit and I'm making my cotton ball a little more fluffy? I made it a little more fluffy, and I want to do that to all 10 of my cotton balls, is make them a little more fluffy. And if they fall apart, that's okay too. So I'm going to make this one a little more fluffy. And because fluffing cotton balls is not the most fun in the world, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start gluing one of them on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue, and I think I'll put it right here in the middle, put a big blob of glue, and I'm going to take one of those fluffy cotton balls, and I'm going to glue it to the paper plate, just like that. Okay. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to glue another one. So I'm going to put another big blob of glue. And I'm going to glue another fluffy cotton ball. So now I put my cotton balls on. So you're going to do that with all of your cotton balls. You're going to make them fluffy, and then you're going to glue them on. That one got big and fluffy, so it covered a lot of space. So now I have 3 of my cotton balls onto my plate. So everybody is gluing. Moms and dads, these are great ways to work on fine motor control with your kids, how to use a pair of scissors, recognizing colors, the pulling apart of the cotton balls is fine motor control as well. And for little people that are helping, touching the cotton balls and stuff is good sensory play because they're soft. So as you can see, I'm covering my plate the best that I can with all of my 10 fluffy cotton balls. And it's okay if the whole plate doesn't get covered, because it probably won't. I have one more left, and I'm going to glue my one more cotton ball right down there at the bottom. And I have pretty much covered my paper plate with my cotton balls. And so now if you look at it, I have a rainbow of my own for myself. Just like the little boy in our book called A Rainbow of Your Own wanted a rainbow of his own. Now you've made yourself a rainbow of your own. So that is the first book and the first project that we were going to do today. That one was really fun. I love having my rainbow of my own. In fact, I will probably hang it up on the wall if Miss Casey had any pins, but Miss Casey does not. So, but I think I'm going to hang it back up here when I'm all done. Okay. All right. That was our first project. And I'm going to, while you guys are working on that one, I'm going to read you another story. And this next project will be an easy one that you can do now or you can do later after we do that, after we go to the next one. But this book is called Elmer by David McKee. And if you look really close, you can see Elmer hidden on the cover of that book. He's right here. but it's hard to see them. And when it's hard to see in animals, sometimes we call that camouflage. And you'll look at my book and you'll see that my pages sometimes are ripped. That's because this was a book that my children, when they were growing up, loved. And so it got lots and lots of use. I had to read it lots and lots of time to them. So there once was a herd of elephants, elephants young, elephants old, elephants tall and short, fat and thin. All were different, but all were happy, and almost all were the same color. So let's look at that picture. If you look at them, they're all the same color. All except Elmer. Elmer was not elephant color. He was patchwork. Elmer was yellow and orange and red and pink and purple and blue and green and black and white. So they told you he was yellow and orange and red and pink and purple and blue and green and black and white. He had lots of colors. It was Elmer who kept the other elephants happy. Their games and jokes were always his idea. If an elephant was laughing, the cause was usually Elmer. But Elmer himself wasn't happy. Who ever heard of a patchwork elephant, he thought. No wonder they laugh at me. One morning, just as the others were waking up, Elmer slipped away. As he walked through the jungle, Elmer met other animals. Good morning, Elmer, they said. After a long walk, Elmer found what he was looking for, a large bush covered with elephant-colored berries. Elmer caught hold of the bush and shook it until the berries fell on the ground. Then Elmer lay down and rolled over on the berries, this way and that. He picked up bunches of berries and rubbed himself all over until he was covered with berry juice. When he had finished, there wasn't a sign of any yellow or orange or red or pink or purple or blue or green or black or white. Elmer looked like any other elephant. Can you see him walking right there? On his way back through the jungle, Elmer passed the other animals. Good morning, elephant, they said. When Elmer rejoined the herd, none of the other elephants noticed him. So if you look at that picture, can you tell which one of those might be Elmer? They all look the same. As he stood there, Elmer felt that something was wrong. But what? He looked around. Same old jungle, same old blue sky, same old rain cloud, same old elephants. The other elephants were standing absolutely still, silent and serious. Elmer had never seen them so serious before. It made him want to laugh. Finally, he could bear it no longer. He lifted his trunk and at the top of his lungs, he shouted, "Boo!" The other elephants jumped in surprise. Elmer was helpless with laughter. Then the others began to laugh. Too bad Elmer isn't here to share the fun, they said, laughing harder and harder. And then the rain cloud burst. When the rain fell on Elmer, his patchwork started to show again. "Oh, Elmer," gasped the old elephant as Elmer was washed back to normal. "You've played some good jokes, but this has been the biggest laugh of all. What would we do without you?" "We must celebrate this day every year," said another. "The day of Elmer's best joke. All of us elephants will decorate ourselves in his honor," said a third. "And Elmer will decorate himself elephant color." And one day each year, the elephants color themselves yellow or orange or red or pink or purple or blue or green or black or white and have a parade. If you happen to see an elephant in the Elmer's Day Parade who is ordinary elephant color, you will know it must be Elmer. So I want you to take a look at all of these elephants. Hold on, Miss Casey, we'll get the book right. And how they're decorated. Some of them are checkerboards, some of them have flowers, some of them have stripes, but they're all decorated a different way. And so what you have in your packet is an elephant. You have an Elmer, and you get to decorate your Elmer any way that you want to so that you can put your elephant in the Elmer's Day Parade. And so you have a baggie of crayons, and you can color your elephant any way that you want to so that he can be in the Elephant's Day Parade. And that's just a project that you can do that you don't have to do right now, but you can do it anytime that you want to. I just wanted you to have an Elmer to decorate. Okay, so that's yours for your Elmer Day Parade, and that was called Elmer by David McKee. A book I always use that I was teaching to teach my kids that differences are okay, that you are who you are and that's special just the way you are. Okay. So the next book that I want to share with you, and then we'll do the project together, is called The Rainbow Fish. And before we started, there was a young lady who said, "I bet we're making a rainbow fish." And you're right, we're going to when we're done with the book. So this one is called The Rainbow Fish. Oops. And this is by Marcus Pfister. The rainbow fish. And look at her sparkle. A long way out in the deep blue sea, there lived a fish. Not just an ordinary fish, but the most beautiful fish in the entire ocean. Her scales were every shade of blue and green and purple, with sparkling silver scales among them. The other fish were amazed at his beauty. They called him Rainbow Fish. "Come on, Rainbow Fish," they would call. "Come and play with us." But the Rainbow Fish would just glide past, proud and silent, letting his scales shimmer. One day, a little blue fish followed after him. "Rainbow Fish," he called, "wait for me. Please give me one of your shiny scales. They are so wonderful, and you have so many." "You want me to give you one of my special scales? Who do you think you are?" cried Rainbow Fish. "Get away from me." Shocked, the little blue fish swam away. He was so upset he told all his friends what had happened. From then on, no one would have anything to do with the Rainbow Fish. They turned away when he swam by. What good were the dazzling, shimmering scales with no one to admire them? Now he was the loneliest fish in the entire ocean. One day he poured out his troubles to the starfish. "I really am beautiful. Why doesn't anybody like me?" "I can't answer that for you," said the starfish, "but if you go beyond the coral reef to a deep cave, you will find the wise octopus. Maybe she can help you." The Rainbow Fish found the cave. It was very dark inside, and he couldn't see anything. Then suddenly, two eyes caught him in their glare. and the octopus emerged from the darkness. "I have been waiting for you," said the octopus with a deep voice. "The waves have told me your story. This is my advice. Give a glittering scale to each of the other fish. You will no longer be the most beautiful fish in the sea, but you will discover how to be happy." "I can't," the rainbow fish started to say, but the octopus had already disappeared into a dark cloud of ink. "Give away my scales, my beautiful shining scales? Never! How could I ever be happy without them?" Suddenly, he felt the light touch of a fin. The little blue fish was back. "Rainbow fish, please don't be angry. I just want one little scale." The rainbow fish wavered. "Only one very, very small shimmery scale," he thought. "Well, maybe I wouldn't miss just one." Carefully, the rainbow fish pulled out the smallest scale and gave it to the little fish. Thank you very much," the little blue fish bubbled playfully as he tucked the shiny scale in among his blue ones. A rather peculiar feeling came over the rainbow fish. For a long time, he watched the little blue fish swim back and forth with his new scale glittering in the water. The little blue fish whizzed through the ocean with his scale flashing, so it didn't take long before the rainbow fish was surrounded by the other fish. Everyone wanted a glittering scale. The rainbow fish shared his scales left and right, and the more he gave away, the more delighted he became. When the water around him filled with glimmering scales, he at last felt at home among the other fish. Finally, the rainbow fish had only one shining scale left. His most prized possessions had been given away, yet he was very happy. "Come on, rainbow fish," they called. "Come on, play with us." "Here I come," said the rainbow fish, and happy as a splash, he swam off to join his friends. And there you go. That's the story of the rainbow fish who found out that if he shared, he was going to be happier than if he was selfish. That was a good one. Okay, so now we have a project to make a rainbow fish. And the first thing that you're going to need is that second paper plate. So everybody should have a second paper plate. And the first thing that you want to do is you want to cut out a pie-shaped piece. So you're going to go just like this. And you're going to cut out a piece like this. It's going to look like a mouth for your fish. Okay. So that's the first thing we need to do. And then we're going to take that piece and we're going to put a little glue on the pointy end. So I put my glue right there. And I'm going to glue it to my fish just opposite my mouth. So I'm going to glue it onto the back of the paper plate just like that. So now my fish has a tail. Just like that. Okay. So the next thing that I want to do is I am going to use my cut pieces of colored paper that I have left. And we have lots of colored paper left. And I am going to cut out some circles. Okay. And sometimes that's kind of hard. So if you have something at home that's round that you can trace around that will help you, that will help you make some circles. Let's see what Miss Casey can find here that I can trace around. Hold on. And since I'm sitting in my office, what I found was a roll of tape. So I can take my tape and I can trace around it on my paper with a pencil or even a crayon, because I know that you have crayons. Hold on, let me trace one and then I'll share it with you. So here you go. You can see it. Maybe I traced around a circle. And now I have a circle on my yellow paper. And I'm going to trace probably 2 circles on each colored piece of paper, so that I will have a total of 10 or 12 circles that I can use. Okay, so go ahead and do that. So I've traced 2 on my yellow piece of paper, and then I'm going to stack them up on my other pieces of paper and try and cut them all out at the same time. Let's see how I do. So there we go. I stacked them up and I've now cut out I've cut a circle out of each of my pieces of colored paper. And I'm going to do that one more time so that I get all of my circles. And if you don't have anything to trace, that's okay, because then you can just cut out circles on your own. So now I have more circles. So I have 1, oops, gotta get my camera in front of me, 2, 3, oops, they're stuck together, 4, 5, 6 circles. And then I have 6 more circles in this pile that I cut out. So what I'm going to do with my circles is I'm going to fold each of my circles in half. Just like that. So you can go ahead and fold each of your circles. And if you notice when Miss Casey works, unfortunately, her tongue kind of comes out of her mouth. So it's when I'm doing it. And it's okay to have mom or dad or anyone who's around help you do this, because sometimes cutting and folding these are not very easy. Okay. All right, so now I've folded all of mine. And you do have a picture in your bag that shows you kind of what he's going to look like when he's done. But we are going to start gluing our little scales to his body, and they're still folded in half and they open. So I'm just going to glue 1/2 of him to the plate. So I'm going to put a little glue on the plate. And then I'm going to stick my scale on just like that, so that it opens up back towards the tail. But you can see where it opens still. I'm going to put one there, and I'm going to put one above it. And they can be any color that you want in any order. This is your fish. So there's 2 of them. And then I'm going to put some up here. I'm just going to keep making my rows of my scales until I'm happy with the way he's filled in. So now I've got my first 5 scales on. So I'm going to put on another one. And if you notice now, my fish is getting very, very colorful. All right. So I've got on that row, and oops, that one does not want to stick. I better put a little more glue. Neither does that one. I must not have gotten enough glue down, or I'm messing with it, and it's not very happy. Okay. And I'm going to glue down my last 3. Sorry. All right, there. So now I have all of my scales glued on. And now I'm going to take my black crayon and I'm going to draw an eyeball. And what I did was I drew a circle and then I drew a smaller circle inside. So I have an eyeball on my fish now. And all of my colorful scales. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and color your rainbow fish any color that you want to with your crayons. And you can take a piece of one of the papers that you have left, and it really doesn't matter what color. And you can make yourself some fins for him. So I'm going to take my blue paper and I'm going to fold it just a little so that I can cut out 2 fins at once. And I am just going to make some fins, which means I really don't know what they're going to look like when I'm done. I kind of cut a triangle. So I cut a triangle and then I'm going to cut it in half because it's in the middle. And then I can glue them to the top of my fish to be a fin. I can glue it like this to be a fin, maybe the other way, pointing towards the back. And then I can put one on the bottom too, just like that. And then my fish has got fins on the top and on the bottom. And then my rainbow fish, after I color him, is all done. If you've got glitter, which I don't have any, you can put glitter on him to make him sparkle. Or if you're at home and mom has some tin foil, you can cut out a tin foil scale and put that on there to be your shiny scale. So some aluminum foil or some tin foil can make your shiny scale. So I'm going to glue my fins on real quick. It fell off. Sometimes that happens because when I'm going pretty quick and not waiting for my glue to dry. But there you go. There is my rainbow fish. Fin on the top, fin on the bottom, and he's a happy fish with lots of colorful scales. So that's the rainbow fish. So on that piece of paper that you got from me that has the last project on it, what you got from me was a mask that looks like this. And she looks kind of scary, but I'm going to read you the story that goes with her. It's called A Bad Case of Stripes. And then you can color and cut out your mask, and you're going to cut out the eyes, whoops, wrong way, which are right here. And then you can hold it up to your face like a mask when you're done. So let me share with you the story, A Bad Case of Stripes. And that's by David Shannon. Also, if you need to leave or your kids are getting antsy because this is going to be about an hour, this you can find on YouTube as well. There's someone who's reading the story, but it is called A Bad Case of Stripes. Camilla Cream loved lima beans, but she never ate them. All of her friends hated lima beans, and she wanted to fit in. Camilla was always worried about what other people thought of her. Today, she was fretting even more than usual. It was the first day of school, and she couldn't decide what to wear. There were so many people to impress. She tried on 42 outfits, but no one of them seemed quite right. She put on a pretty red dress and looked in the mirror. Then she screamed. Her mother ran into the room and she screamed too. "Oh my heavens," she cried. "You are completely covered with stripes." This was certainly true. Camilla was striped from head to toe. She looked like a rainbow. Mrs. Cream felt Camilla's forehead. "Do you feel all right?" she asked. "I feel fine," Camilla answered, "but just look at me." "You get back into bed this instant," her mother ordered. "You're not going to school today." Camilla was relieved. She didn't want to miss the first day of school, but she was afraid of what the other kids would say, and she had no idea what to wear with those crazy stripes. The next day was a disaster. Everyone at school laughed at Camilla. They called her Camilla Crayon and Night of the Living Lollipop. She tried her best to act as if everything were normal, but when the class said the Pledge of Allegiance, her stripe turned red, white, and blue, and she broke out in stars. The other kids thought this was great. One yelled out, "Let's see some purple polka dots." Sure enough, Camilla turned all purple polka dotty. Someone else shouted, "Checkerboard," and a pattern of squares covered her skin. Soon everyone was calling out different shapes and colors, and poor Camilla was changing faster than you can change channels on a TV. That night, Mrs. Harms, the school principal, called. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Cream," she said. "I'm going to have to ask you to keep Camilla home from school. She's just too much of a distraction. And I've been getting calls from the other parents. They're afraid those stripes may be contagious." Camilla was so embarrassed. She couldn't believe that 2 days ago everyone liked her. Now nobody wanted to be in the same room with her. Her father tried to make her feel better. "Is there anything I can get you, sweetheart?" he asked. "No, thank you," sighed Camilla. What she really wanted was a nice plate of lima beans, but she had been laughed at enough for one day. Well, yes, I see," Dr. Bumble mumbled when Mr. Cream phoned the next day. "I think I'd better bring in the specialists. We'll be right over." About an hour later, Dr. Bumble arrived with 4 people in long white coats. He introduced them to the Creams. "This is Dr. Grop, Dr. Sponge, Dr. Cricket, and Dr. Young." Then the specialist went to work on Camilla. They squeezed and jabbed, tapped and tested. It was very uncomfortable. "Well, it's not the mumps," concluded Dr. Grop. "Or the measles," said Dr. Sponge. "Definitely not chickenpox," put in Dr. Cricket. "Or sunburn," said Dr. Young. "Try these," said the specialist. They each handed her a bottle filled with different colored pills. "Take one of each before bed," said Dr. Grop. Then they filed out the front door, followed by Dr. Bumble. Dr. Bumble rushed over as soon as Mrs. Cream called, but this time, instead of the specialists, he brought the experts. Dr. Gord and Mr. Mellon were the finest scientific minds in the land. Once again, Camilla was poked and prodded, looked and listened to. The expert wrote down lots of numbers, then they huddled together and whispered. Dr. Gord finally spoke. "It might be a virus," he announced with authority. Suddenly, fuzzy little virus balls appeared all over Camilla. "Or possibly some form of bacteria," said Mr. Mellon. Out popped squiggly little bacteria tails. "Or it could be a fungus," added Dr. Gord. Instantly, Camilla was covered with different colored fungus blotches. The expert looked at Camilla, then at each other. "We need to go over these numbers again. Back at the lab," Dr. Gord explained. "We'll call you when we know something." But the experts didn't have a clue, much less a cure. By now, the TV news had found out about Camilla. Reporters from every channel were outside her house telling the story of the bizarre case of the incredible changing kid. Soon a huge crowd was camped out on the front lawn. The Creams were swamped with all kinds of remedies, from psychologists, allergists, herbalists, nutritionists, psychics, an old medicine man, a guru, and even a veterinarian. Each so-called cure only added to poor Camilla's strange appearance until it was hard to even recognize her. She sprouted roots and berries and crystals and feathers and a long furry tail, but nothing worked. Let's look at her. Look at poor Camilla now. She sprouted all sorts of things. At that moment, Mr. Cream heard a quiet little knock at the front door. He opened it, and there stood an old woman who was just as plump and sweet as a strawberry. "Excuse me," she said brightly, "but I think I can help." She went into Camilla's room and looked around. "My goodness," she said with a shake of her head. "What we have here is a bad case of stripes. One of the worst I've ever seen." She pulled a container of small green beans from her bag. "Here," she said, "this might do the trick." "Are those magic beans?" asked Mrs. Cream. "Oh my, no," replied the kind old woman. "There's no such thing. These are just plain old lima beans." "I bet you like some, wouldn't you?" she asked Camilla. Camilla wanted a big heaping plate full of lima beans more than just about anything, but she was still afraid to admit it. "Yuck," she said. "No one likes lima beans, especially me." "Oh dear," the old woman said sadly. "I guess I was wrong about you." She put the beans back in her bag and started toward the door. Camilla watched the old woman walk away. Those beans would taste so good, and being laughed at for eating them was nothing compared to what she'd been going through. She finally couldn't stand it. "Wait," she cried. "The truth is, I really love lima beans." "I thought so," the old woman said with a smile. She took a handful of beans and popped them into Camilla's mouth. Said Camilla. Afterward, Camilla wasn't quite the same. Some of the kids at school said she was weird, but she didn't care a bit. She ate all the lima beans she wanted and never had even a touch of stripes again. So this is our story about Camilla, who has a bad case of stripes. And you have a mask that you can color and give this Camilla a bad case of stripes and make it into a mask for yourself. So you have a couple of projects that you can do and that you can finish. This one is your mask for a bad case of stripes. You have your Elmer that you can decorate so that it can be in the Elmer Day Parade. And plus we did the rainbow fish and we made a rainbow. So that's all that I have for you. So when they're ready to stop recording, we can look at all of the wonderful things that you did.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming, and thank you, Miss Casey. This was amazing. So I'm going to turn our cameras off right.